And then I used to call her my sister in the Lord, inviting her for prayer meetings, yeah, without knowing that I was looking for an opportunity one day to strike. And
All the best. So if you come to my room, I had about 8 or 10 cards, all from Remmy. But by then, we're just friends. So, colleagues would tell me that this guy is in love with you. And I would say, you're talking about this Kabona again. That's how we used to call him.
Yeah. Yes. Would you like to start?
You can start.
Yeah, we are we are Remmy and Angela, Mr. and Mrs. Mukonka, and we are living in Lusaka. We've been married for the past 27 years of unbroken service, continuous marriage relationship, and we thank God for that love life. I think of many years, which of course doesn't mean that we are angels. We have had good experiences, and sometimes those bad experiences that spice up who we are and so on. But the beauty about it is the unbroken service of many years, and all giving glory unto God for his faithfulness upon our lives. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Angela Kashita Mukonka. I met Remmy, who is now my husband, in 95. I was coming home from a short holiday, the 4 days break. So I met him at Intercity on the bus.
While we were both students.
Yes.
At Charles Lwanga College of Education.
So we didn't know each other, and we didn't know we were going to the same place. But he said he had noticed me. So when we reached Sekesi, we had to board on the same taxi. And I remember I had an amount which I needed to pay, but the driver didn't have change. So Remmy had to pay for me. And then when we reached school, I had to look for change, and I gave it back to him.
Who does that?
That's when I knew him. Then from there, we're friends. You'd find you meet him the following day at school. He would say, my sister, you remember me? I would say, no, we're on the same taxi yesterday. So just like that. So eventually we became very good friends.
Yeah, so you heard me saying, who does that? Every man has that feeling that you have paid for the lady. And for me, I noticed her like several months back. And I was thinking, okay, we will have an opportunity when we can, I think, meet. And so Angie was one kind of a girl who really could not, have time to spend with you, no matter how much you felt like you want to discuss. It was just like, hi, she's on the move. Hi, she just greets you and she moves away. So literally no time to really like, can we converse? Can we chat? And she had very short concentration span, always wanted her space, wanted to be on her own and so on. And I kept the patience of an ego that with time, I think I will certainly find an opportunity to strike. And so I had this perfect opportunity to strike. We were on the bus from Lusaka, like she said. We disembarked, our bus at Chisekesi, just after Monze, between Pemba and Chisekesi. And then this is where our college for education was, in Chikuni Mission. And so, boom, we were on one taxi, Chipo. And then she didn't have change, and I had the liquid cash. And I said, yeah, who worries? The guy will pay. And then I finally paid. I said, can I pay for you? She says, yeah, sure. I paid. In my heart, I knew that, okay, this is deal. This is a punch. I have managed to pay for her, and we moved. And when we reached the school, quickly I went to my room and met my friend Matthew Chabala. I mean, if he's watching this, I think he's part of the story. And I told him, I said, Matthew, we were on the taxi with Angie, and I have paid for her. we'll see what the next move will be. Now I think she's a lot more closer to me because I have paid the fare, you know. And so within a short time, as I'm like bragging and I'm talking to a colleague that I have paid, we hear a knock on the door. And so a friend from the next room comes to knock and say, oh, there's someone at the barrier waiting to see Remy. And then that's how I rushed, only to see that it was Angie. And then she, again, being a woman of few words, she had the money in the hand and says, I've come to pay you back the money. I said, who does that? So she paid me back the money, and that's how I felt disappointed. Do you have to pay? He says, no, here's your money. Thank you so much for paying for me. She gave me the money, and I went back to the room disappointed, told Matthew that, oh, Matthew, the money has come back. I feel very low. I feel disappointed. I mean, yes, that's what happened. And then from there we continued. I mean, I was part of the combined Christian fellowship at the college. It was predominantly Catholic, and so I wasn't Catholic, and so she was Catholic. So sometimes if I had a responsibility to preach in church, I extended that to her to come to my church so that I think she could be part of the service when I'm preaching. And then I used to call her my sister in the Lord, you know, inviting her for prayer meetings, you know, yeah, without knowing that I was looking for an opportunity one day to strike and say, you know, hey, what about this and so forth. And finally, we had this opportunity to travel on an excursion on a field trip to Livingston. And again, I looked for an opportunity to sit next to her. And that's how we sat next to her. And what did I do? I think we held hands. I said, finally. So I said, no, you may fall. So my holding hands was really like to give her the assurance that you can't fall off this track. You know, it's a bigger track and it had a canopy. And so we held hands. And as soon as I held the hands, she responded. And that's how we held the hands. I don't know for how long. And I think that was the message I sent to her. And I thought a lot of stories, I think, were around holding hands. Say, hey, look here. And we reached Livingston. In the evening, she was looking for me, you know, that we should have dinner together. You know, in the morning, she was greeting me. And I said, that's it. And so that's how we met. So it's been a long stretch story, 27 years down the line. We are here.
When I finished school, secondary school, I was quite young. I went into college when I should have been around 17 or so. I was done with college when I was 20. So by then we were close. Our relationship was very interesting because we had to do a lot of adjustments. I had to do a lot of adjustments on my part, equally him. So when I went home, I remember he said that he was going to visit so that I should introduce him to my elder sister, who was living in Kafue by then at River Motel, our firstborn. So when he came, I was so shy to tell my sister that, my sister will know that I had a boyfriend at college. So my sister also just came and she was very strict. She just came and got the son because she had a baby. She just got the son from my hands and she went in the room. Wow. Then when I went outside, Remy said, you are not introducing me to your sister. I think you're not proud of me. I said, no, I am, but I'm failing to, where do I start from? So it was not easy, but eventually I told him to come and visit in Kawe. I said, I think my parents will be a bit more flexible than my elder sister. So he came to visit the first time. We received him with my elder sister. Then the second time he came to visit, he even had to say the intentions of marriage.
Yeah, so the proposal for me, it was the holding of hands on the track. I think, as opposed to kneeling down, because I was looking for an opportunity. Where will I kneel down and say, will you be my girlfriend? And so on. And then in the college, everyone was calling me bro, the brother euphoria thing. And, I kept telling them, they were calling me the born again guy. We are the guys who could preach, who could share the word. And so everyone was like paying attention on you. And then, there was this writing club where it was a gossip corner in the college of about 300 students. And then every other time there could be a gossip on the notes board, who is seeing who is seeing who, and it was called pairing. And I think when time comes, there comes a time when you want to make a decision that I think you are publicly in love and you wouldn't want to hide.
Yeah.
And I think the trip that we took to Livingston, it was a study tour and a history association club. I think made it public. And coming from Livingston, everyone knew that I think we were involved. We had an affair, and Sunday in, Sunday out, either she was in our church or I could go into Catholic. I didn't know the procedures. Sometimes if I sat next to her, maybe they are kneeling, I'm standing, and that kind of thing. I needed to follow the order of the service. And so sometimes I could find it a bit confusing because I'm not Catholic and there are all these rules. And when you are to receive Holy Communion, if you are not baptized Catholic, you can't do that. And so in my church, it was a bit open because we could tell people that, hey, you search yourself, and if you are ready, you can receive the Holy Communion. So it was a lot more flexible and liberal, So story cut short, I was able to tell Angela that, there was also another trip going to Siavonga. Yes, and I think the Siavonga one is the one that did the whole story. While I was standing on the bridge, the bridge between Zambia and Zimbabwe, again, I held her hand and I said, now officially, we are boyfriend and girlfriend. And that's what began in the whole story, But I mean, we also had a few challenges because Angela had a very short threshold, of between happiness and being upset. In a day, I think sometimes I could get 2-3 dismissals in writing. Maybe she sees I was close to this other lady. I was like a go-to person in college, and people could come to me, both males and females. And if she sees this female is talking to me, she gets upset. I'll get a note. Vasila, I'll get a note. You are dismissed. I said, how many times will this end?
Yeah.
And so I kind of like got concerned. I said, how many times? But I think the negotiator that I am, I never took a no for, for an answer. So I still found a way to apologize. I still found a way to say, I'm so sorry if that's how you felt and so on. And I think she found room in her heart all the time to forgive me. And always that kept us rolling. And then, we had an opportunity to keep going.
Yeah.
So we became boyfriend and girlfriend or fiancés officially in Siavonga. I remember that was in 96 around October. Can't remember the date when we went on a study tour.
Yeah.
And then from there now we became friends. Even in the dining, we stopped eating alone. We could sit on one table. It looked like a kind of a relationship, because now everybody knew, no, keep away from Remmy, keep away from Angela. Remmy is keeping an eye and so on. And that's how everything else, began.
And just to add on, Chipo, Charles Longa Teacher Training College is a Catholic college and it's a Christian college. So we expected to hold our morals very high.
Very high.
So, but they said they were accepting mature relationships.
Yeah.
So eventually, I think I remember we went to see our priest. Remmy went there and said, I think I'm serious. I'm in love with Angela and have intentions of marriage. So lecturers came to know about it. They could only allow mature relationships. And there were a lot of areas where it was out of bounds.
Yeah.
So you can't cross a certain, boundary. This is OB, this is OB. I think that was good because I think in a way they were helping us to be pure, to wait until marriage. So when I saw that, he introduced me to some lecturers. Then I saw that, okay, I think Remmy is serious about what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And also, before he comes in, I remember he could write me, even when we're just friends, he could write me cards. Before exams, he would write me a card. He would draw those flowers. I remember one message where you were saying, Angela, a friend cannot be bought in a market. You're a good friend of mine, and I'm wishing you all the best. So if you come to my room, I had about 8 or 10 cards, all from Remmy. But by then, we're just friends. Yeah. So, colleagues would tell me that this guy is in love with you. And I would say, you're talking about this Kabona again. That's how we used to call him. Yeah.
So just to add on to say, I don't know the image I portrayed, but maybe that's what I was. And I think I am still the same. The family to my wife, her eldest sister was working in Zambia Railways then, you know, and I think they kind of like judged me the first time they saw me. You know, I loved anything white. My shoes, chupo, were white trousers, white shirt, white jacket, and white was white on me. You know, clean. Yeah, so they said, aoneka no problem with you. So would he make really a good relationship? He looks like a playboy or that kind of thing. So they kind of like it took time for them really to accept me and for them to really see that I was really serious. And at one time I was in Lusaka, Angie was in Lusaka, and we planned that we could actually meet and, you know, get to go out together. And the sister had to come to Lusaka, you know, to pick her on her way from Kafue to Kabwe. She says, we are picking you and you are going with us to Kabwe. And Angela protested. And, you know, in demonstration of the love that she had for me, she had to hide. What was that? Behind the tree. And then it started raining heavily. They were looking for Angela. They couldn't find her. And that's how they gave up. They left. And Angela says, I had to hide behind the house, you know, behind the tree so that I don't follow them, because she needed to stay to see me. Thank you so much.
I think I didn't like being treated like a child.
Yeah, like a kid.
Because for me, I thought, well, I'm now mature. If I was in college for 2 years without parental care, then I can still make it. But for them, I think they were still taking me as a young girl, and that I didn't like.
Yeah. And then the reaction from my older brother, who was like my guardian, says, are you sure you manage a Bemba girl? You know, I mean, because there is always this teasing each other. We are not traditional cousins, but Tongas and Bembas. So in my village, if you see a Bemba, they always joke to say, keep your cows properly. Ask Michelo Hajiziwe, she knows this story very well. They say, keep the goats and the chickens very carefully, you know, secure them very well. If there's a Bemba guy, he will steal them. And if a Tonga guy, I grew up in the Copper Belt, a Tonga guy is among the Bemba guys, they say, Aisha. They kind of like, you know, tease each other. So for me, it was like I'm bringing a Bemba girl into the family. Will she be accepted? Will she get along with everybody? And I think the good story is that she fitted in very well. She speaks good Tonga among the Tonga-speaking people in my tribe. And she has made the best of friends that are there and who go to her home, who come, you know, she goes to people's homes. She speaks Tonga with my brother-in-laws, my sister-in-laws, and they get along very well. And so she's no longer Bemba, she's Tonga now. And I speak good Bemba as well. So when I'm with my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-law, and so on, they wonder whether I'm Tonga because I'm able to speak perfect Bemba. Nobody gossips me in Bemba. I even speak proverbs in Bemba. And I think this is how our interconnectedness has been. You know, instead of seeing individuals based on tribe, we see oneness based on marriage. It doesn't matter where one comes from. I think love surpasses all. Love cuts across and unites people. Okay. So, you know, for us, we didn't have that engagement that happens in church where we had to engage and put a ring on her finger and so on. It was just like we got into this love affair. We had a common ground understanding that we are now in love. And even when we came here, I had to tell my pastor at Pilgrim Wesleyan Church then that we were in a relationship. And so then we were told to begin the counseling session. And then we began the counseling session. And beyond the counseling session, that led us into the wedding. And so we had to, now for the wedding ring, we had now to go to town into the shops where they sell the rings to, you know, to do the measurement. You know, she was a lot smaller than she is now. And I think we have changed the rings in 27 years 2 times now. Yeah, this is the second one that I have. And something special about these rings that we have now is that in my ring, inside this ring, what is in the ring?
My name.
Her name is in my ring. What else? The date of marriage, the date of wedding. So there's Angie Babes inside this ring. Angie Babes, I call her Angie Babes. And the date, I think I'm able to see this, and the date that we married. And then inside her ring,
yeah.
there's my name there, Remmy, and then the date that we married.
Yeah.
And this is the covenant I think we have agreed to cut together.
And just to add on, Chipo, I remember when we were marrying, we had to look for the rings. They were not expensive.
Yeah.
We just got something that could fit us.
Yes.
So that, we can have them for our wedding. We didn't have a kitchen party.
Yeah.
We just had a wedding by then because that's all we could afford at that time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
something not exorbitant, but something that we thought could fit our budget.
Yes.
I think also this goes on to advise others to say, as young people plan and prepare for the wedding, they don't need to, outlive themselves. They don't need to plan things that are out of this world. You can cut the size of the cloth, based on the material that you have.
Yeah.
Do not, do things and compete with others because you want to do the wedding that you saw another person from a rich family do. We did what we did in total humility, as long as the blessing of marriage was pronounced on us, and we were done and we were set, and 27 years down the line we are here and we are still counting. Yeah.
I can't even remember. What did we buy?
I think your sister bought for you.
Yes, I think the same sister of mine who had to apologize later on to my husband when now we're almost done. Then she said, Mlam, I'm sorry. The way I was treating you, when you're keeping girls. Yeah. So my sister was working for Zambia Railways. She was, I think, a regional manager by then. So at least financially she was okay. Yeah. So she's the one who bought the wedding dress for me.
Yeah.
As I said, I think by then I should have been 21 or 22. So I don't know what really happens when you're having your wedding. I wasn't really happy, a bit scared, a bit anxious. Yeah. Like you're trying to say, what is it that I'm getting into? Yeah. But it was nice. When we're preparing, it was nice. But the actual day, I just don't know what happens when you're having your wedding.
Yeah.
I think I was a bit anxious. Yeah, but it was nice.
And there was this feeling of sadness, like it's a wedding day, and then she just felt sad. I think it's a normal sense of separation that you go through, because you know that now you are leaving this family and you are joining another family. You are acquiring another name. She was no longer Angela Kashta. She was Angela Mukonka. Just that transformation, I think could get other people emotional. Even in her family, you could see, which is no longer exists now, because they come and they stay in our homes. We go and they stay in their homes, and they still know that the family still lives on.
Yeah.
I felt like a conqueror. When a lion has been looking for a kill, you feel like you've gotten what you really wanted, and so on. Angela was not an easy person to deal with. She was quite emotional. I think in 27 years, I've done quite a lot to get her to where she is now. Very, very short temperaments and so on. And like I said, that I could receive several dismissals and see her walk down the aisle and say, wow, now this is Mrs. Mukonka. I think that was the greatest sense of pride a man could ever have, because I felt that I had achieved my goal of negotiation, of wanting always to get that which I desired to have. So it made me feel very proud. And then, and here we are. Yes. So for me, I think I certainly decided I was not going to marry an age mate. I think that's principle number one. I've told her, I've told her that several times, that I'm older. And so I think if I married an age mate, we would be having these issues of arguing and so on. And so I think what has kept us going is that I'm a very candid person. When I'm not happy, I say it as it is. If I don't say it, I struggle. Even sleeping is a problem. I have to speak, and I said, oh, look, honey, I think this is not right. It should not have happened this way, and so forth. And then also, secondly, the other reason is that during times when you feel you are on your lowest point, it's important to identify people that you look up to for your inspiration. And so in our life, in our marriage, we have always made that as a point to look up to other marriages that we see as a model to encourage us. Even before we got married with Angela, there were people that Angela and I looked up to. Even right at college, there are couples that we always admired, and they said, wow, I think when we get married, we would want to be like them. We would want to be like them. And even now, there are those couples that we look up to. There are men of God also that we look up to. And even when things perhaps are not okay and you feel low, you pick up a phone and say, hey, look here, Dad, we are not well. And what is it that we can do? And so on. Can we come and talk together? Can we come and cry together? And so on. So I think having mentorship, this is the second point that I'm trying to look out for. And we have also agreed as a couple to emulate certain pillars of marriage that includes loving one another, okay? Celebrating one another. I have celebrated my wife, for the last 27 years. Confirm? True or false? Yeah. Every
birthdays.
Every birthday, every anniversary, we have made it deliberate that it doesn't matter what happened. The past few minutes, the anniversary is approaching. You have a duty to do that, because I think that's a key factor, just to ensure that I espouse that confidence in her. She espouses that confidence in me, and without looking at the negatives. We have deliberately ensured that we communicate with each other. And she's more apt when it comes to communication than I am. I don't know how many times she calls me in a day just to check on me and just saying, I just called to check on you. I said, I'm busy, I'm in a meeting. But there's one principle. No matter how busy I am, if I see a call from my wife, I excuse myself to pick a call. Not because I'm scared of her, but because of the value I attach in her communication. It could be an emergency. It could be something else. And sometimes when she calls, I'm really expecting something very important. She just calls to say she has missed me, even when I was busy. So, and I have learned as well to communicate via WhatsApp, via messages, and so on, just to keep the conversation going. I think these are some of the pillars that have helped us also to move on. And also one last thing, Chipo, for me, is that she has embraced my relatives, okay? It doesn't matter how difficult some of them could have been. She has embraced them, and she's in the forefront actually reminding me, thanks Angie for this, reminding me whether I have sent money to my mother. There are certain times, men, we forget and we want to do more fertilizer and seed in the farm than your parents. And she'll remind me, have you sent something to mom? She reminds me consistently. And I think for me, that is quite profound. And so as a result of that, I have also taken up the responsibility to ensure that I take care of her mom. I take care of mom when mom is not well, when they have an issue in the family and so on. They feel very free to approach me as a go-to person. They are free to approach me and so on. And so we have exchanged the roles. Yeah. She takes care of more of my relatives, my side. I take care of her side. And I think that has improved the chemistry between us. You don't have to worry about, what you are doing. I don't have to do certain things secretly for my mother, because she is more involved into her life than I am involved. And then I am more involved in the life of her family than she practically is involved. I think these have been key pillars for us to keep us going in the 27 years.
Yeah.
5 years. Yes.
6.
5 or 6.
6 years.
Only. So she has to give respect.
Just to add on, Chipo, to what I said, I remember when I knew my husband, I think one thing that I liked in Remmy is his love for God. And I think because based on that, usually, let me just say, every time we have challenges, we've always turned to God. I personally have been on my knees. Every time I have a challenge, I'll pray about it. And I think God has been the cornerstone of our marriage. Usually we, as he said, we talk about them. If I notice something, of course you can't confront everything, But usually when I see a certain problem or a challenge, I'll open up to him. Yes, sometimes, of course, we've learned sometimes you find you open up at the wrong time, and you'd find that maybe you don't resolve it. So you always find the right time. You look at your friend's mood, but we don't bury problems. We always talk about it.
Yeah.
No matter how painful, we have learned to confront our problems.
Yeah. She reads my moods. She reads my mind. So I always tell her that, are you a mind reader now? Sometimes she'll say, are you okay? Today you're not looking your best. I said, why? So she knows when I really have an issue.
Yeah.
Even before I say it, she'll tell me, and then that forces me actually to say, oh, by the way, I needed to say this because she has seen it that is bothering me. And I think that arises from the fact that we are one. And so it's easier to see something inadequacies in your friend and so forth. And so the most important thing is the openness. Like I said, that I'm open enough when I am not happy. I struggle to pretend. It will show that I'm not happy. I always want to say it and say it as it is. And I do so because if you bubble with something inside you, it will make you, I think, not like home. And I think this is common in many couples, Chipo. When they are not happy because they can't speak the best way they do, they stay away from home. And they'll go maybe home extremely late and so on, and the children don't see them and so forth. Why? Because people bottle up a lot of things that they should be able to speak out. And so my wife and I are open to each other. She's very open. She doesn't fear me because I'm older than her. She doesn't fear me because I'm her husband. She will always open up in love and tell me, and at the right time.
And
of
also, when your friends, I think, look, you know, when you're marrying, you come from different backgrounds, you know, different way of being brought up. So I think one thing that has helped us to get along is if your colleague opens up about something, there's need for change, either on my part or on his part. You know, it doesn't just help when you have a problem, you talk about it, then the following day, after a week, the same problem, you know, pops up. I think by the grace of God, we have changed, we've evolved. If I know that, okay, this, my husband is not comfortable, this, Angela is not comfortable, then you try to work around that area. Yes, and you find that you may not be 100% different, but at least you try to moderate for the sake of your colleague. So confronting issues and, you know, changing in one or the other has helped us a lot. He is kind.
Maka.
And he's hardworking. Yeah.
Oh, number one is I don't think I was smart. I was clean, even as I was trying to marry Angela. But I think what she has done, she's doubled that on me. And every morning, I never used to like it. Every morning she has to check my shirt. Is white? You know what I mean? She always, sometimes I'll put something maybe on the bed I've already prepared from the wardrobe I want to dress. She'll come and remove them. Because she says I carry her identity when I go out. And say, what do you mean I want to wear this shirt? Napanga kudala plan. So I think what I appreciate is that extreme cleanliness. She's particularly clean and so on. I think when I got married as a bachelor, you know, you could easily count the times of bathing you have done in a day or two. But I think she has taught me that great value of cleanliness that forces me actually to bath twice in a day. You bath in the morning, you bath in the night, you bath in the morning. So one time I was telling a friend that, I bath 2 times. That, why do you bath 2 times? Because according to him, he just bathes once in a day. But with Angela, I think she came in with that policy that, you know, as a man, you must be clean. And when you're clean, then that makes you more attractive to your partner, to your wife, and so on. And so that has become a policy for us. You bath together twice,
and
in the morning and
twice.
in the evening. And you clean your mouth at every end of any meal, and so on.
Sure.
And so sometimes she will also, as we go to bed, she will ask me, have you cleaned your mouth? I said, come on, those are little questions you can ask this time around. And so if I know I'm guilty, I haven't cleaned, I just quietly go into the bathroom and then clean. And I come back and said, my mouth is clean. So you know what that means.
What about the other one?
Which one?
Cleanliness.
Yeah. So cleanliness, and also the care that I have seen, I think, in raising our children. We have 2 wonderful boys, Chipego, Ernest Mukonka, and Joshua Nchimunya Mukonka. Yeah, they are big men now. Chipego shifted. He lives alone in Chalala. Yeah, I think he has some plans very soon. We need to know. And Joshua is in law school. He is 21, and the kind of love and care I think Angela has demonstrated to the children has been so good. While I do the responsibilities of a father can do to the children, I think she's really been there as a loving mother, ensuring children have grown up clean, children have grown up responsible, children have grown up with the necessary mannerisms they need to exude to the life of a community. I think that has been really outstanding. That makes me a proud father. I can go out and I know that there's a wife who doesn't just takes care of a house, but prepares a home for me where I feel comfortable to walk in and know that everything will be in the right place. I'm particular with my food. I think she knows what I like, and she does just that.
When he calls me Angie Babe, I feel good. It reminds me of the old days when I was young. Yeah. So I just like it when he calls me Angie. Yeah.
Well, I like it when she calls me she calls me honey, darling, sweetheart, Vashchipo. So I like when she calls me Vashchipo. Sometimes it's in public, maybe you are in church and she says, Vashchipo. I said, Nipabantu pano. Call me by my name. I mean, I just like that because she's so natural, and she will bring it out as when it is necessary, irrespective of who is around. She identifies me by my name, and that's who I am.
The first lesson that I've learned is that as a woman and as a wife, you need to be prayerful. Yes, I think what has worked really for me is prayer. I haven't been perfect. I'm human. I've made my own mistakes. But I think God has been the greatest pillar of our marriage, as I said. I've had challenges where I just kneel down, and you find that, God calms the storms. Chipo, one thing I've learned in life is that every time you see something negative, you should know that there's an enemy behind. And sometimes we've made mistakes by going to friends, colleagues, relatives. But I think at the end of the day, what has worked well for me is being on my knees, praying, being prayerful as a mother and as a wife has helped me a lot.
For me, is consistency. Yeah, you don't do something once off. Like I have said, celebrate one another for a longer time. Some things you keep doing them as a tradition, all right? And even when you delay, she will remind you that, hey, today is Women's Day. You haven't, is there anything coming for me? You know what I mean? Then she knows that this has been happening over a long period of time, celebrating one another. I think that is about consistency. You don't do it once off, you do it repeatedly. And also, one lesson that I have learned is that espousing one another, bringing the good in one another. Okay? Angela is not perfect, but I think when I identify something good in her, I amplify it, I bring it out. She must hear it from me, she's beautiful. She must hear it from me, she's kind. She must hear it from me that she's the best mother, of our children, and that she's incomparable to anybody else. I have learned to say those things repeatedly, deliberately, so that they begin to sink in her, and then she also does the same to me. So I don't think she will be excited to hear that she is beautiful, someone telling her out on the street, because I've said it several times. And we communicate with each other to a point whereby we are lying on the same bed. You wake up in the morning, we greet each other on the same bed. All right. And that alone spreads to the members of the family. I said, but on the bed, why are you greeting me? We greet each other every morning. Good morning. Good morning. How did you sleep? Of course, she tells me more dreams than I do. But I think one lesson learned is that be best friends with a wife, be best friends with your husband. Otherwise, you can be two enemies living together. Yeah, we have always tried to avoid talking about what we are, because sometimes to the eyes of the people, that sounds like maybe you're bragging. But I think with all humility, we met in college as primary school teachers, number one. And when we graduated, we didn't feel that was adequate for us. I went to advance to do diploma for another 3 years on top of the 2 years. That made 5 years. And when I came back from diploma, I told her to go to do diploma. She went to do diploma as well, so that I don't leave her way too behind. And then when she came back from diploma, I went to the University of Zambia to do my degree in education. And when I came back, I said, go to the degree. There's no way you can be married to a degree holder, and so make sure that you remain relevant. She went to do degree. And then when she came back from doing degree, I said, now we can't be the same. I had to go for my master's.
Yeah.
And when I came back from my master's, she was feeling a bit fatigued. She didn't want to go to school. And I said, I'm proceeding. I had to go for my PhD. And I did my PhD. And when I came back from my PhD, I said, you can't be married to a PhD and you are still go for a master's. She's now, I think, concluding her master's. Very soon she will be done. So I think we have attained a comfortable level of attainment education-wise, and we give God all the glory, and we continue to contribute to society in terms of research. We continue to contribute to society in terms of the work that we do and so on, and how different people tap into the experiences that we have and so on. We share in different media houses some of these experiences that we have, and how it impacts society, and sometimes how you can actually, through research, generation of evidence, how certain things can be shared to help prevent certain things as a result of informing the public. So I think that's really our life journey. She's a master's student in development studies, besides her background in education, and I hold a PhD in education. You begin to feel inordinate. You begin to feel awkward that you are too highly qualified and your spouse is down there. Or you begin to see a problem if a spouse is too highly qualified and the husband is just, basic, somewhere around there. So it's important that as you move together, as you move up, move together, support one another. The investment in me is her investment, and the investment in herself is our investment.
And just to add on, I think even the way you look at things change. We thank God. Yes, God has given us that wisdom. But I think as you go to school, even the way you look at certain issues, the way you articulate certain issues changes. And gone are the days when, as a woman, you'd expect everything to be done for you by a man. Times are changing, so we just need to be that corporate wife, and be able to contribute something to society, as you said. So many are times when we are getting married, our lives revolves around a man. But, when you look at the times that we are in now, it's high time as women we also took up a challenge. Okay, Remy's birthday is on the 10th of August.
And her birthday is on the 25th of July. We are. And so that's really big. And the recent birthday, they celebrated me. They put a surprise, and I was coming from work without knowing that they had done such a huge arrangement at home. And I just got into a massive cake and a meal that was there. And so her recent birthday, we celebrated also both at home. We did a surprise of flowers at her workplace, and also taking her out, for dinner besides the cake. So it's not very expensive, but it's something that you always have to plan and plan always a surprise and so forth. But now I'm running out of surprises. Hope we can have some more come along.
Okay, I think I'll speak on behalf of especially the young girls. I know the times that we grew up and the times now are different. There's technology now, things are changing, but I think where the young ones are missing out is that they're looking for shortcuts. I'll look for a dude who's handsome, who's got all the money, he's got this car. And as a young person, where do you expect your boyfriend to get all those things? So as a result, you'd find that some young people are engaging into going out with sugar daddies who are just destroying their future. If you are looking for a partner, look for the attributes. Don't look at the outside, the monies, the pomp, the job, because once you marry those things, when you look at marriage, it's a complete package altogether. So you look for the values in a partner. Who is this person who wants to marry me? What are his values? What are his morals? Do I know him for, for a long time? Can I trust my life with this person? That's why I think the young ones are missing it out. They are not ready to learn. I think if you heard from what my husband and I have gone through, we started as primary school teachers. I looked at the potential in him. I looked at the heart. I looked at what this person talks about, what are his plans. So I looked at him and I said, I think I can see someone with a vision, and even his lifestyle can tell me that, we'll go far. I didn't look at the money. I didn't look at everything. Everything that we have achieved, now we've achieved together. Yeah.
Very important that we started our home, even sometimes without a sofa. And so young people of nowadays want to over-prepare. They want to make sure that they get it right before they marry. And that time may never come. You may not even have a good job, but I think time to settle knocks at the door. And the earlier you do so, the better. And also being very careful, extremely very careful to analyze the character of the man that you would want to. Do not look for the flamboyance. Do not look for the exoticness in the character of a woman, the character of a man that you are marrying. I think, good things come in small packages, come in unlikely packages, and God would want you to use unlikely people for different things that he would want you to bless them for. So do not define what God is capable of doing for you. And I think you need to be very real as a young person if you really want a relationship that will last a long period of time. Be real into what you are looking for. Otherwise, if you look for glamorous, flamboyance, exoticness, and so on, it will only last but for a short period of time. And so love one another and be real. Be real. Do not cover things. Bring out the truth as it is as you live together.
Yes, and just to add on, sorry, we are not saying you need to compromise anybody that comes your way, as long as he's a human being or she's a human being. Each one of us has certain standards and policies, but I think you just need to know that what is, when you look for a partner, you're looking for somebody you'll be with for the rest of your life. And you stop engaging, because the young people also, if you see what is happening on Facebook, for them, if you're in a relationship, the next thing is to have sex together. Sex should be avoided at all costs before marriage, because I think that also has just, disoriented relationships.
Yeah. The nature of man, Chipo, the nature of a male figure, a man, is always wanting to get it done and they move on to the next one. And so if you are really aiming at wanting to marry, do not yield to the sexual temptations that are there. Not only is it not allowed in the Bible, not only is it sinful, it's not the right thing, because the moment you give in sexually, a man is done and he's out for the next hunt. And so I thought Angela was very tough. She was stubborn. And I kept all the tactics, tried all the tactics of this and that, holding in the track. And so thinking something may work out in Livingston. Nothing. She kind of just defined it. And what allowed us to get to a point where we now felt we can marry are the values she espoused, as the values she saw in me as a Christian. And also that I carried the label, you were born again, you were born again. And so you become very careful what else I could want to do, and so on. So the key question to you back, the young people, is that what is your identity in the society, in your school, in your university? How do people know you? How they know you, does it restrict you to what you can do? And if you feel you live a life to whom it may concern, and you can do anything in that university room of yours and anything, anyhow, anywhere, and so on, then you don't have an identity. And so it means it can already begin to define what kind of a husband or a wife you may be when you get married.
My name is Angela Mukonka.
My name is Remmy Mukonka, and this is How We Met.